This is much more adventurous than I thought it would be.
Woo! If you missed our last video, we rented a private island with an off-grid cabin in northern Finland, and it was a fun and unique experience. To get there, we rented a car, but we're back in Rovaniemi and we still have the car until the end of the day, so we're gonna go on a little day trip.
Before we hit the road, we're making a quick stop at a coffee shop here in Rovaniemi called Coffee House, and this place is so beautiful. It just has this gorgeous design inside with all these unique seating areas, plants all around, fun light fixtures, and the couple times we've been here, the coffee and food has been A+. We got flat whites, which is my go-to drink here in Europe. I'm not sure why flat whites aren't more popular in the US because it's just the perfect milk to espresso ratio. And then we also got these mozzarella tomato pesto focaccia bread things that they heat up for you.
They do have a ton of delicious pastries here, but we're a little sweeted out. And even though this isn't a very breakfasty item, it is still hitting the spot. This is our trusty rental car that's gotten us around Lapland. It's a Skoda Kamiq, which is a crossover, so it's had plenty of room for the both of us. We got one with an automatic transmission, so it's been super easy to drive, and it came with snow tires, so it has little studs in the tires which give you better traction, and that comes standard on all rental cars here in the winter. We love this car. If it was available for sale in the US and we were in the market for a car, this would be a top contender. It looks super sleek, it drives really nice, and in the driver's side door, it has a fun little feature. In this little pocket right here on the driver's side door is an umbrella. What an awesome touch that is. That is so cool. It just slides right in there. You wouldn't even know it.
We rented this car from Budget right in town, and one thing to know about renting a car here in Finland, especially as a US citizen, is that you do not need an IDP or an international driver's permit. Our driver's license from the US works just fine, so it was super easy to rent a car here.
But the sun's rising soonish and we've got limited daylight, so let's hit the road.
Today our plan is to visit Korouoma, which is a free nature reserve about 1.5 hours southeast of Rovaniemi. It's known for a pretty cool feature in the wintertime, which you probably already know from the title and thumbnail of this video, but just pretend to be surprised when we show you.
I didn't have much winter driving experience before coming here to Finland. When we lived in Washington, I drove on some snow and some ice, but really not much. So I didn't know what to expect coming here, but overall it felt pretty good. I felt very secure on the road, not slipping or sliding or losing traction with these snow tires. And most of the drivers have been pretty courteous and cautious, and no one's like driving and speeding around, and they're turning really slow. So overall, it's felt pretty normal.
The only time that it's felt a little scary was last night when we were driving back from the cabin. It was dark and foggy and snowing, so the visibility was not very good. And anytime that like a semi truck or a really big truck would go past us in the other direction, it would kick up all this just like snow and ice, and it would create this huge cloud that for seconds you could not see anything. So you'd be driving and all of a sudden like a wall, just like a white out wall, and you're like, I don't even know where the road is. So we'd have to go really slow, but we made it through and we survived. I gotta say, Adam has absolutely crushed the winter driving. Way to go.
Korouoma is a 30-kilometer long canyon that was formed during the Ice Age when ice fractured bedrock that was millions of years old. You can visit year-round, but it's extra magical in the winter when frozen waterfalls form on its canyon walls. There are around 14 of them that form, with 3 major ones that can be viewed along a 5-kilometer loop.
I just love the sound that our boots make when they're just crunching on the snow. And today is actually the warmest day that we've had in at least a week. It's actually 0 degrees Celsius. We are no longer in the negatives. And because of this, a lot of the trees are losing their snow. So all of a sudden you'll be walking and then bam, all the snow just comes flying down. So we're walking very cautiously under the trees so we don't get dumped on. We're about to make it to our first view of the falls, but it looks pretty foggy, so I don't think we're gonna have the best view of them until we're a little bit closer.
Getting a little steep. Good thing we got these ropes here to help us down.
Our goal our entire time we've been in Finland, every day when we start walking for the day, we're like, don't slip, don't fall. So far so good, but I think this place might test us on that one.
Sure.
There is a cafe at the beginning of the trail that rents spikes for €5 each, but they weren't open yet, so we're just going straight snow boot today.
Should've just brought my toboggan, the sled.
I had read that there were steep parts, but there are a lot of steep, slick parts. My no falling in Finland streak has broken. I fell. I might as well just slide.
Down the rest of the
might as well just slide the rest of the way down.
Come on.
Woo! This is much more adventurous than I thought it would be. I've now fallen 3 times.
We're getting down to the bottom of the canyon, and either some of the fog has gone or we're just close enough that it's not affecting our view, but now you can really start to see some of the frosty walls and some of all the icicles hanging down. It's so cool.
As we mentioned, there are 3 major waterfalls, and after slipping and sliding, we have finally made it to the first one, Charlie Brown.
We read that some of these waterfalls are 60 meters tall, and this one is 50 meters tall, and it says on the sign here that some winters there's an ice cave you can go in back there and stay the night in. That would be awesome.
Obviously, if you're like properly geared.
Yeah, if you have the proper gear and knowledge and all that stuff.
We have made it to the second waterfall, Mammoth Fall, which is a very popular ice climbing spot. And if you've been following along for a while, you may remember that when we were in Alaska, we went ice climbing on a glacier, and it was equally terrifying and exhilarating and a ton of fun. I can't tell if I'm crying a little bit because of the sun or because I'm just scared out of my mind right now. I did it!
Yeah! Woo!
Definitely one of the craziest things that we've ever done. You can actually book a tour to learn how to ice climb on one of these things, which would just be so crazy.
Ice climbing on a frozen waterfall like this seems a little more sketchy than what we did. We climbed like in a glacier, so it was like just a huge wall of ice, which this is too, but there's many more little creeks and cracks and crevices that aren't as thick as a huge wall, you know, so I don't know how I'd feel about doing it on a waterfall. This is Brown River. I'm sure you can guess why it's called that just by looking at it, but this is the most impressive of the 3 major waterfalls here. It's just so solid and well developed, and it kind of reminds me of Mammoth Hot Springs at Yellowstone National Park with all the tiers and like kind of columns in it.
Yeah, I think we definitely saved the best for last. This one is easily my favorite along the route. at the end of the trail, they have all these fire pits where you can warm up and make some food. And we were panicking a little on the trail because we thought ahead today and we thought, well, maybe we should go buy a lighter so we can actually start the fire. But we assumed that there would be firewood here, and there's no firewood here. We saw all of the tour groups carrying firewood, and we were thinking to ourselves, no, we're not gonna be able to make a fire. But then we stumbled upon this one, and someone had left a fire, so we lucked out big time. And then another thing that we were worrying about is, how are we going to grill our sausages? Like, we knew that there were these pan things you can put them on, but we were like, how are we gonna grab them? How are we gonna hold them? And I found a sausage stick. Oh, I love when the universe just like looks out for you.
I am so thankful for the previous group that was here that just left it instead of putting it out. Oh, the fire feels so good.
These communal fire pits seem to be really common in Finland, and it's one of my favorite things about Finland. I just love this. This feels so nice right now. Oh, this is amazing. We're gonna make sausages in the middle of the forest.
This is going to be awesome.
Adam was getting mega hangry on the trail, and I was a little afraid of what would happen if we could not have these sausages. I think he was going to just eat it cold.
I was gonna eat it cold. Yeah, buddy. We also brought our little toothpaste tube of Finnish mustard. So we're gonna finish this sausage off with some mustard. Mustard is a little different than American mustard. It's a little sweeter, but it's super good.
It's also much more brown than American mustard. It kind of looks like peanut butter to me. Oh.
Oh no, all the peanut butter's on the ground, all the mustard's on the ground. Should I do the whole thing? It's gonna fall off.
That was like a bad idea. That's delicious though.
So you a sausage?
Nothing beats a wiener in the woods. The only thing missing from our campfire were some hot drinks, but thankfully there's a cafe right at the trailhead that I think will be able to take care of that.
We got ourselves a couple items here. This is a glogi, which is a Finnish like spicy Christmas drink. And then we have a lingonberry cake, and then this is a kampanisu, which is kind of like a biscuit that they bake here locally. And in Finnish, that means a hairbrush, is what the lady at the counter told me. Looks really good. Very dense and crumbly and buttery, and it's cold, so it's kind of almost has like a more of a cakey texture.
Almost looks like a shortbread flavor. A little sweet, but not too much. We are hooked on lingonberries right now.
Oh
no. It's tart, but also sweet, and the crumble on top. This is just what I needed. This place is so neat. It's just a cozy cabin with strung lights and these fur blankets you can sit on to stay warm. And out back they have a teepee with a fire. I wish every single trailhead had something like this. Oh no, it's frozen shut. Public transportation in Europe is pretty amazing, so we originally did not plan to rent a car this trip, but I am so glad that we did. It just gives you freedom and flexibility and helps you reach harder to get to places like the cabin in our last video and these waterfalls. You can take a tour to these waterfalls, so if you don't have a car, don't worry, but I will say our 5-day car rental, I'm pretty sure costs less than if we took a tour to the waterfalls today.
When we were in Germany in the smaller towns, we really regretted not having a car. With the weather and the holidays, the public transportation just wasn't very reliable. So in the future, anytime we are not in a major city in Europe, we are renting a car.
But now it's time to get this bad boy back to Rovaniemi.
It took us 4 gas stations to find one that would accept our card. I don't know what was happening, but they just kept getting declined, so we kept bouncing around, but we finally got one. We're getting gas in this thing.
And we're not gonna return it late.
That's right.
That was such a fun day trip. We highly recommend making the trek out there if you're visiting Rovaniemi. But tomorrow is actually our last day here in Finland. But we have something very fun and unique planned. Nothing beats a wiener in the woods. Can I keep that in?
Sure.
Almost like alliteration.
Nothing is as wondrous as a wiener in the woods.